Today is November the 6th, 2020. This is the Service Hero Show. 365 days of awesome. Celebrate success through service. My name is Tamara Hunter, and I am your host. This is the show that shares inspiring stories of those that are inspiring others. So let's do this. I gotta say, TGIF, it's Friday. We're gonna have some fun today. Our service hero, we need those people that are out there that give us hope and help us laugh. This woman is one of those. She is someone that her message is one that you may think, oh, she's fast talking. Yet her message within the fast talking really is something that we all need to be hearing, especially right now. And with that, the laughter that she shares, and I have to say, over the last 24 hours, I've done a fair amount of giggling, and that feels good. So I want to welcome you, Fran, to the Service Hero Show, and we are going to inspire many today. And by the time we're done with this show, they're going to say, yes, Fran is definitely a service hero. And I like her a lot, too.
Thank you. I like that.
I love it. I love it. And before we get going, I want to recognize those that are here. We have many of our buddies. Oh, you guys are going to be so excited. Helene Wilson. Helene is actually one of my buddies, and she is our first ambassador of the chat. So good to have you with us, my dear. And we have one of our senior ambassadors, and also she is one of the producers of this show. She checks to make sure that we are live every single show on the E360 TV app, and we want to make sure everybody goes to your app store and gets that, because actually today we're going to be talking about why that is so important, and you're going to want it pre-plumbed on all your screens. And yes, there you go. She's telling us what to do and how to do it. I love it. And yes, we are going to be taking off for a tour of love here very soon on November 30th. And I think someone's going to be going on a tour with us. So, Fran.
Actually, my name is Fran Capo, C-A-P-O.
Okay. C-A-P-O. Oh, I got it wrong. Okay, you know what we'll do here? There we go. And
we're starting already out with a joke. Okay, we're like, lady, let's see if you know how to spell my name. Okay, there you go.
Ta-da!
It's the miraculous thing of Zoom TV, of E6360 TV. So,
well, I got these out for and you're like, those aren't the right ones, but we're going to go there in a minute. So, let's, before we do that, I'm actually going to play a video.
Okay.
And then we're going to go into it because, I think this tells us a lot.
And then
My name is Fran Capo, and I happen to be the world's fastest talking female, collecting 632 words a minute, which comes out to 11 words a second. I'm a comic motivational speaker. I hold 6 world records. I am the host of a television show called Live It Up with Donna Drake and Fran Capo. I'm an adventurer. I bungee cord jump, scuba dive with sharks, on combat aircraft. I'm an author. I've written 20 books. I do a lot of things.
This lady's gone from the depths of the ocean visiting the Titanic to signing a book on top of Mount Kilimanjaro.
Today I'm going to talk to you about how to have a world record mindset. But I figured I would tell you how I got into the Guinness Book of World Records.
You learn how to talk fast like Fran here? Isn't she amazing?
I was working at a radio station, WBLS-FM, in New York City. And I was writing comedy for them. And one day I said, you know what? I could do a really cool Mae West impression, but I call the character June East, Mae West's long-lost sister. So all of a sudden, the guy flings the weather and traffic copy at me. And in radio, when the little red tally light comes on, you have to start speaking. So I'm like, oops, today the weather and traffic is. And in the 30 seconds I happened to do it, a lady from the Daily News was listening. She calls up the station. She goes, "Oh, listen, I'm doing a story on weather and traffic people. How long you been doing it?" So I'm not going to tell her 30 seconds. So I said, "Oh, I've been doing it a while, you know." And she goes, "Well, what are you planning on doing next?" I didn't have a next, but I had a lady from the Daily News. So I said, "Oh, I'm thinking of breaking a world record."
Our next guest is Fran Capo. She's with us in New York.
So I called up Guinness and said, "What do you have to do to break the record?" They said something from Shakespeare in the Bible. Okay, well, me and Shakespeare never got along.
He dwelt the secret place of the Most High, shall abide in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say, my Lord, is the refuge and fortune of God, in him I trust. He dwelt the secret place.
Stop. You have set the Guinness Book of World Records.
Fran, come on out.
Meet Fran Capo, comedienne, television personality.
Now, we all know somebody who talks a mile a minute. How about 630 words a minute?
The world's fastest talking female has an enviable list of credits. Over 1,000 radio shows, over 250 television shows, more than 30 commercials, 5 movies, and several books.
I tell you this is because one of the principles that I follow is just say yes and figure it out later. You try it. If it doesn't work, who cares? You try it again. There's a Japanese saying, fall down 7 times, get up 8. As long as you get up one more time, then you fall down, you're good.
Fran Capo, she speaks so fast. That's amazing.
Hello, my name is Fran Capo. I know this is going to sound very strange, but your husband wrote a book, and my son has a book report due, and they want to know what he was thinking when he wrote it. And can my son interview you? Interview your husband? She goes, yes. And I say to Spencer, okay, now we got to get these questions done and everything. So he gets all the questions. He does the interview, and embarrassingly enough, we forgot to turn the tape on. So I'm like, all right, we went this far. We got to call him back again. I mean, my philosophy is live every day as if it's your last, and one day you'll be right. You know?
Well, I think that kind of sums it up.
Yeah, there you go. You know, and
Get up,
so,
see, that's the beauty. See, on live to now to here.
and when I was watching that, I mean, seriously, I was like, oh, I think I even know what that's from. Oh, yes, I remember this. Da 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 da. You know, and what fun is that? And yet, this is your life. And okay, so I'm catching up on what everybody is saying. We've got many of the buddies that are talking to each other. Good afternoon, Sherry McQueen. Love it that you're here. And we have, let's see, I'm on the road. Oh, I know some others that are going to be on the road here soon too. And so this is what the community does, is that they are there with each other. They check with each other. They, you know, and I absolutely love that. And so when you were nominated, I would say, to be a service hero, and also a dear friend of ours said, you guys need to know each other.
Yeah.
And when we were able to start visiting, it was like, oh, I feel like I've known you forever.
Oh, we
what
got
fun.
it right away. It was like we clicked. It was like, didn't I just speak to you like the other day, even though we had just spoken for the first time? It was great. Yeah.
And when I was talking about, and we were talking about the tour of love, and I mean, let's just get right to it, because this is what is a lot of fun, is that the tour of love, of course, is the next Jerry Lewis telethon.
And you put it out there. That's the amazing thing, because you decided that that's what you were going to do. That's what you were going to make it. And now it's in like its 3rd year, and it's like snowballing. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So more people want to hop on the tour of love bus.
Exactly. And exactly. In fact, I've been having even calls today about people that are coming and hopping on this bus. And guys, wait until it starts being, I mean, we're going to be having some big announcements here too soon. And Fran is one of our very first ones, because, you know, when we started this long ago, I sat there with my original buddy, and we felt very inspired to do this because of the fact that our doctor and nurses had given us a bit of a hard time, because every time we showed up for treatment, they called us the party bus. Little did we know that one. We knew about Double Trouble, but we didn't know we were also the party bus. And they loved us showing up because it changed the frequency and it made a difference for those that were facing cancer. And our doctors and nurses said, hey, you know, you got to do something with this. So finally, after some due diligence, sat there and said, okay, if we're going to do this, we got to come up with at least 3 words that will never change. That's what the core will be. Everything has to be washed through these. Now I've added 2 more, but however, we have the same 3. And the very first one is humor. Very first one is humor. We need to laugh. We need to have that humor in our life. And you are a big believer of that.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, see, this is the thing that people, well, first of all, I've had, not me personally, but my father, my mother, my sister, and all had cancer. And my dad and my Uncle Donald, unfortunately, just died October 29th. So again, of cancer. And so the thing is, I've done, there's a program that I did, Comedy Cures. So I was one of their regular performers on Comedy Cures, and we would have caretakers and people come in and see it. But the thing is, like, if you think of people like Norman Cousins, Anatomy of an Illness, and you know, they were, oh no, you're not going to make it. And he took massive doses of vitamin C. But the other thing that he did was 2 to 3 hours a day, he would watch episodes of sitcoms, Candid Camera and other things. And he actually checked himself at a hospital and did that. And what people don't realize is, you know, when you say humor is a great medicine, it actually is not just a saying, because it actually changes the physiology in your body. Because when you laugh, especially even if, let's say, you have a good belly laugh, it's the equivalent to doing rowing on a machine. So listen, if you don't want to exercise, you do the, you know, you do the laugh. But the thing is, it actually creates good endorphins in your body. And so it does have an effect. See, everything in life is really what you focus on. If you walk into a party and you see people in the left corner of the party arguing, and then you turn to the right and you see people laughing and joking and having a good time, you can either say, man, that party was bad, everybody was terrible, or you go, God, everybody was laughing. It's where you focus the camera of your mind. And what humor does is it takes everyday things that we know about and transforms them into a way that you could look at them differently. That's all comics do. We see the same exact things that you do, but we go, really? You know, it's like, for example, there was this lady whose house was destroyed in a hurricane. And most people would be like, oh, but instead she put a sign out in the front of her house that said, Gone with the Wind. Who does that? You know what I'm saying? He found the humor in doing that. And the whole thing is, everything is how you respond to life. Listen, even it's observations. Like, think of it this way, Tamara. So a farmer one day is out in the field and he's with his friend, Bubba, whatever. And he's like, Bubba, look at that chicken. And he said, you see that white thing coming out of that chicken's butt? We're going to eat that for breakfast. Now, why did he decide? You know what I'm saying? There was some person who looked at the same chicken that 1 million people have looked at and decided that thing is going to be what you eat for breakfast. Everything in life is how you see things, how you focus them. And I did a Tedx talk that I had told you about the other day. And I actually broke a record on the Tedx stage. But the whole principle of it was, the video said 6 world records. I realized I have to update it because last year alone I broke 3 more. So I actually broke 9 world records. And you see that 59.275 that you have on the screen. I did my 18-minute TEDx talk on how a world record mindset can help you accomplish anything. And then the producer's like, you think you could do anything else? I'm like, as if a TEDx talk is not enough. What are you talking about? So she's like, yeah. So she said, can you break a record on the stage? So I took that same 18 minutes and I redid my entire talk in 59.275 seconds. And I broke a record on the TEDx stage.
I love it too. In fact, I so wanted to share it, but I know they're philosophy of different things,
I know.
and they're very, very, very particular about how things are packaged, guys, or I would have shared it, because I absolutely, and we're going to put a link in to
FranCapo.com, and then it's right up there on my website where people can see the whole thing, get the benefit of the whole talk, but then say, oh, she actually did do all those things again in that 1 minute. Yeah.
I've watched it a number of times, in fact, and I love it. In fact, I love the whole message. And then your attitude, like, just say yes and figure it out later. Like, that whole, okay, yeah. And I love the way you dropped it too. During it, it was like, oh, that was genius. It was beautiful. It was just so well played and done, and everything. And this is what I love about you, and about the fact, well, let's just put it in your own words. We're going to have some fun today, and we are already. Here we go. Let's do it.
Oh, hi, I'm Fran Capo, the Guinness Book of World Records fastest talking female in the world. I also hold 9 world records. I did a book signing on top of Kilimanjaro, down by the wreck site of the Titanic. I've written 22 books. I'm a comic. I do a lot of things. But the thing that I'm really excited about now is that I am joining the Tour of Love. And I am going to be joining it with a lot of talented people, and it's for a really good cause. So I am going to take actually an RV. I am just trying to find on the map what route I need to get to take this tour of love. There's got to be hearts or something on this. Anyway, I'll figure it out. In the meantime, why don't you find out what it is and join me?
I gotta say, I love all this edit and all the stuff that you put on the screen and everything. This is such a fun show. I love it.
I love this show. This is meant to be a fun show. It's inspiring stories of those inspiring others, right? And yet, again, all things fun, all things humor, hope, heart. And those were the 3 words when I was talking about the very first 3 words that we washed the nonprofit through: humor, hope, and heart. And so this show actually came out of the heart and the hope for the buddies 3 years ago now, and it's evolved, and it's always been about fun. It's about fun. It's about sharing inspiring stories, and the fact that it's just like you said in that clip at the very end of your sizzled reel, kind of like story of Fran, and kind of like, well, we all have one there's one outcome in this, and let's have some fun while we're here.
I've actually added a line to that, because I always say, live every day as if it's your last, and one day you'll be right. And on the last day, you don't want to be doing the laundry. So you like what you do. And see, this is the thing, like my just say yes philosophy. It's like, for example, I have a big heart for animals. I have a 1-woman show, by the way, that I was doing live. Obviously, it was called Love, Laughter, and Light. And it's all the different stories of all these, things that I do all over. And thank you, Sherry. And so what happened was, I, had this thing, I can't just say that I want to take care of animals and not do it. So I said, okay, I'm going to do this thing called Stand Up for Animals. And then I got all these comedians together, and we did a 12-hour marathon, and we raised money for PETA and for Earth Island Institute to stop testing on animals and all these things. And whenever I get it in my head, like a lot of times people are saying, even when I did a book signing at the top of Kilimanjaro, people are like, who's going to be there? It doesn't matter. I'm going. There'll be people at the top of the mountain. And So I just say, if you think of it, don't worry about how you do it. Just say yes, that you want to do it, and things will fall into place. You'll meet the right people. Things would happen. But the one thing that is the only thing that you can control in your life, we can't control what happens to us necessarily, unless, of course, you see a gang down an alley and you walk down the alley. Well, then that's just a dumb move. But I'm talking about if you're talking to, if something happens to you like cancer, you could either choose to say, okay, I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to try holistic approaches. I'm going to get a buddy. I'm going to do all these things. But the main thing is your attitude towards it, because your attitude is everything. And the other thing I say is there's no such word as can't. And I talk about that in my world record mindset. Listen, when people say, I can't lose weight, I'm like, really? How many donuts did you have for breakfast? Right? It's not like you can't lose weight. It's that you don't want to. It's too hard. You don't want to go out and hike every day. You don't want to stop putting the donut in your mouth. You don't want to stop eating your ice cream sundae when everybody else is asleep and grab it from the refrigerator. You want to do that. So you have to live with the consequences. So there's no such word as can't. The word is won't. I can't do that. No, you won't do that because it's too hard. Take responsibility, because in your life, it serves you absolutely no purpose if you say you're a victim, because victims can't help themselves. But if you say, and not to borrow from Joel Osteen, he says, don't be a victim, be a victor. But the thing is, you want to be someone who says, okay, this is what's happening to me. I'm not thrilled with it. How do I change it? And how can I make it fun along the process? Listen, when my sister had breast cancer, right? I never thought I would be doing this. But when she had breast cancer, she said before she had to have a double mastectomy, she said, would you be willing to make a sculpture of my body? And I'm like, okay, I'm not an artist, but there we were. I had never touched my sister's boobs in her life. And there I was doing the sculpture. And then we filled it in with silicone so she could have a sculpture of that thing. There's so many different ways. My dad, I had told you yesterday, my dad had cancer. And my dad said, the third time. Now, my dad didn't help himself because he was a smoker, and he continued smoking after he knew I had cancer. I'm like, all right, Dad, you think maybe, the connection here, but whatever. And towards the end, he took a cigarette. He took a straw and actually cut the straw to a size of a cigarette. And he would suck on the empty straw, and said that just the breathing in and out of the straw made him feel like he was smoking. But what he didn't realize was that's what you do when you meditate. That's the relaxation part. Then the addiction part comes with the smoking. But my dad always had a good sense of humor. See, I was really lucky. My mom taught me nothing is impossible. And my dad taught me to always find the humor in life. So if I did something and it worked, it became part of motivational speaking, didn't, became part of stand-up comedy. So my dad had this philosophy, like at the point he had cancer for the third time, he says, look, I'm coming home, so it's going to be, he said, but I don't want you to cry when I die. Consider my body like a coat that is worn and I no longer need it. My spirit will still always live on. So, he had that. But here's the thing. My dad would, obviously he had the chemo, was losing his hair. He made me go out and buy a chia pet to see whose hair would grow back faster. And he would cut the chia pet's hair so that he could win. I was like, this chia pet's hair never grows. And then finally one day I saw him cutting it so that he could win. I'm like, Dad. He goes, hey, I got to edge my bets over here. But then my dad was not always like really religious, but towards the end, he had wanted this priest to come over all the time. And so I was like, Dad, I don't understand it. And then I realized he was like cramming for finals, so I was like, Dad. And so I remember, oh gosh, because my mom and dad were divorced, but we lived in a 3-family house. And my mom lived upstairs with my dad. I lived upstairs with my dad and my son. My mom lived downstairs with my sister and my sister's husband. My mom and dad were divorced, but we're in the same house. Wow. And so when he had the priest come over one time, we had this thing where we said, Father, can you please take off your shoes because we have a new rug? And then he goes, we have a new rug in the church and we don't make people take off the shoes. And my mother goes, yeah, well, our rug ain't donated. And I'm like, oh. And my dad's going, that's it. I'm going to hell in a handbasket. I'm trying to get the priest here. And so there was always so much laughter, no matter what was happening. We've had our house burnt down. I've been held up at gunpoint 3 times. You know, it's just like people say, oh, nothing bad happened to you. I go, no. Bad things happen. You know what it's like to have a sawed-off shotgun at your stomach? You know, I've had bad things happen. I said, but the thing is, I don't dwell in it because I'll tell you a story. I was working at a copy shop as a, as a teenager, working my way through college. And I'm working at this copy shop, and it was on this big street in Queens on Queens Boulevard. It was like a 5-lane street. It wasn't a highway, it was a street. And the end of the night comes, and I see these 2 guys running across the street. And I'm like, man, they're in a rush to get a copy. And they're in such a rush. They knock down this kid on a bicycle, and they come in. And the guy goes, we'd like to see some business cards. So I go to turn to get the book for the business cards. And when I turn around, they both have guns to me. Now, I'm the only one in the store. It's a small copy shop. So the guy goes, open the drawer, open the drawer. So I open the drawer, and he goes, give me the money. So I give him the money, and it was $10. And the guy goes, $10. And I go, it's 5 cents a copy. $10. I said, 5 cents a copy. And so I go, you should have went to a bank. And he goes, a bank. And then so he goes, you realize we have guns to you, we could kill you? I said, I realize that, but this is not the best place to rob.
Really?
Now I'm arguing with the criminals. So then, all of a sudden, in my mind, I remember that at every Dunkin' Donuts, when you go between the 2 doors in the Dunkin' Donuts, they have 4 feet, 4.5 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, so that when somebody robs a Dunkin' Donuts, as they run out, you could say, oh, they were 6 feet. So I remembered that. So I'm over there looking at the criminals, and there's a bookcase, and I'm going like this. And the guy goes, what are you doing? I said, I have an eye infliction. And he goes,
infliction?
I was, whatever. And so he goes, what? And so I said, he goes, and then so I'm trying to kick my pocketbook under the table that he can't see through because I don't want them to take my driver's license and know where I live. And I had this little comedy medal on. And so I got the medal, and I guess out of nervousness, I went like this, and he goes to grab it. And I smack his hand. He goes, what is the matter with you? I go, you don't have to grab. I go, do you know my mother made this to me? You're not going to get good street value. And I'm wondering why the guy didn't pull the trigger. But, and so so the guy goes, all right, listen. He takes the necklace. He goes, go in the back room and count to 100. And if you come out before 100, we're going to kill you. I knew they were running away. And so I go in the back room, and then I start thinking, I'm the world's fastest talker. How long is it going to take to count to 100? So I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm like, but we had a phone back then. I called the police. The police come, and they say, what'd they take? I said, $10 in my necklace. And so he goes, how come you're not crying? I said, I'm not dead. He goes, were you in on it? I go, for $10 in a necklace? No. And he goes, but how come you're not crying? I said, because I'm not dead. I said, I'm not going to cry about something that could have happened. It didn't. Only part that happened was that I got held up, but nothing physically happened to me.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying about how you could respond to everything. Now, I could tell this story a totally different way. Oh my God, 2 guys came in with a gun. They took $10 in my necklace, and they told me to get in the back room and they killed me. Or I could tell the story the way I did.
Right.
Everything in life, the way that you look at it and the way you choose to remember it.
Absolutely. In fact, we have a little clip about the buddies and what it is that we're doing. And I'm going to share it right now because it starts one way, yet you'll see it. There's a little flip in it because it's so important on the way that we look at things.
Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been shown that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. We'll match you with the perfect buddy. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
We're offering you a free membership, so please sign up today. Share this with your friends and family, and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a Chemo buddy for life.
We are a Buddies Network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are Chemo Buddies for Life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
Honestly, can I say something? I have never seen that video that you just showed, and it actually like almost made me have tears in my eyes, because the connection and what you realize is so important to people. And that's why during this time of COVID, it's really hard when they say you can't see family members. And so if you can't, at least if you have this where you could join with somebody, that makes a difference. Because look, obviously, Tamara, I can't come there and hug you. I can't, I get, there's nothing I could do to, but I can still, you know what I mean? I can still interact with you and feel hard. Also, I want to mention something, because like I said, my one-woman show was called Love, Laughter, and Light. And I do this thing on Facebook every Wednesday at 11, but a lot of them are on there, called Cuppa Capo. And it's all funny stories, but it's all, has important messages. But the other thing that I have right now that I would like to offer to all your viewers and listeners is I'm also a certified hypnotherapist. And I created one nighttime mindset meditation and one morning mindset meditation. They're both free gifts. If you go to francapo.com, that's up on the screen right now, all you have to do is put your email in. And don't worry, I'm not sending you 100, newsletters. It's, every now and then I'll let you know what I'm doing. But you put your email in and you download it. And the cool thing, and I was telling Tamara this the other day, was that one guy who's a fan of mine, mother had a psychotic episode, and the nurse could not get her to calm down. And she called the son and was like, I don't know what to do with your mom. He goes, listen to Fran's. He goes, grab this nighttime meditation. The woman who was having a psychotic episode without medication listened to my meditation and was asleep in 17 minutes. Normally, most people say they fall asleep within 3, and it's got all these positive messages. So when you wake up the next morning, you're actually filled. And it's also got a thing about healing, saying that your cells can heal. And so it's putting into your subconscious mind about health, happiness, positive energy, and deep relaxation. And the morning one, that's also a free gift, is so you start your day with this 8-minute meditation that talks about no matter what happens, that it's like a shield, that it'll bounce off you, any negative things, and that you'll just allow yourself to be filled with love and happiness. And it just is a great way to start the day, because the 2 most important times for the mind are the last thing you see before you go to bed at night, and the first thing that you think of in the morning. So if you have those 2 anchors, you're great for the day. Not to say that things wouldn't happen. It's just that you'll respond differently to what does happen.
And, I've had this discussion with so many people, especially since you and I spoke, about that very subject, and how right now it is incredible to me, and yet it's not, because it's the energy is out there, and people are coming, and we're going on a tour of love, and there are so many things that we can do together to heal ourselves. The healing through connection is such an important piece of it, and that we can actually affect our cellular level, our DNA, the genetics. There's so many things that are out there. And the doctor that you saw in that clip is actually my doctor. It was my doctor that convinced me to do this. Yes, I said, okay, I'll do it under one condition. You got to put your name on this, and you've got to back me on it. And so we actually had the
regardless,
ABC
it adds
News.
credibility to it.
Yes,
You
yes.
get the doctor, and people respect doctors because they deal with it. So you add that to it, and his name is out there, his face is out there. Then it's like, well, this doctor, is saying this stuff, and like I say, everything in life. Oh, and by the way, you had everything in life is also how you visualize. Because my mom taught me visualization from a young age. She taught me in a really cool way. The way that she did it was when I was 2 years old. Remember the Flintstones, Bam Bam and Pebbles? Yeah. So I had a Pebbles doll and I wanted a Bam Bam doll. And my mother was like, and I had a little high chair, a little white high chair. And my mother said, okay, every day I want you to play as if Bam Bam is in that high chair and pretend you're feeding it, combing its hair. And I was like, no, I want the real doll. She said, no, every day you have to pretend Bam Bam is in that chair. So every day I do this pretend Bam Bam. But well, one morning, of course, she puts the real Bam Bam doll in there. I run, Ma, the Bam Bam doll's it. She goes, that's because you brought it into your existence. You pictured it would be it. So she taught me visualization at that point in time. I didn't know she put it there. She convinced me that whatever I saw in my mind, I would bring that to me. So that's breaking the world's records, doing all the things, a house, I even said that I want my son to have brown hair and blue eyes. Sure enough, he had brown hair and blue eyes. I'm like, oh, I love this stuff. So now, does it mean that every single thing that I do comes into my existence? No, not sometime. I always look for my root beer before I go to bed, and after I get up, I'm still looking for the root beer. All right, you got to put it in a different place, okay?
I love that.
You got to put a string attached to that root beer.
Root beer, yep, that's right.
But I used to love root beer. But anyway, so the cranberry juice gets me drunk. Now I have to be very careful what I take. Like the cheapest date. My husband says, boy, some flowers in a bottle of ocean spray and we're set, because I get drunk on cranberry juice.
I love it.
The other thing I want to tell you, because I know we're talking about the importance of humor, but we all have an inner voice too, that you have to trust your inner voice. Even if outside things aren't happening, trust your inner voice. Like if you have a gut feeling about something, it's important to go with that because your body knows what it needs. Just like you may not think you're thirsty and all, but you really need the water. Your body thirsts for it. So this is a thing that happened to me. Out of everything in my life, this is the only thing that happened to me that I didn't kind of plan. Everything else, my trip to Kilimanjaro, down to Titanic, all these other things. So what happens is at 4:00 in the morning, I am, sleeping, 4:00 in the morning, and I hear this voice that says, Fran, get up. You got to write a book. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I go, wow, it's a realistic dream. Like, get up. So I get up, it's pitch black. I'm looking around. I'm like, oh, that was weird. Go back to sleep. Get up. Get up, turn on the light. Now I still hear the voice. And I'm like, all right, this is a little weird. And I go, you got to write this book. I go, I don't know what book you're talking about. I'm in the middle of writing another book. They go, you have to write this book. Write the name down. So the name of the book was Hopeville, the City of Light. And so now I hear this. So I write down Hopeville, the City of Light. And it says, it has a message that will change the world. So I'm like, all right, well, I wrote down the title. It's 4:00 in the morning. I don't care who you are. I'm going to bed. And so I'm arguing with the voice and it's saying you have to get the book out there. So now the next morning I wake up, I take my son to school, my mom to work, and I have to get my car fixed. And I'm going with my laptop all ready to continue writing my Adrenaline Adventures book. And so I get there. Tamara, in my entire life, I've written 22 books. I have never had writer's block. Never.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Now here I am in the back of this back of this car shop, right? And I'm waiting for that. They're fixing my car. and I take out my computer to write the next chapter, which was on sharks in my adrenaline book. And my fingers was like someone flash froze them. My fingers are stuck. And I'm like, this is really weird. So I'm trying to move my fingers. I'm going, what is going on? Now, everything's happening in the car shop. You know, guys fixing the car. So I said, I can't sit here for 3 hours and not write anything. So I said, oh, what was the name of that book? And I pulled out the piece of paper that I had written down, Hopeful, the City of Light. I put it down. I go to type and I go, Hopeful, the City of Light. For the next 3 hours, I swear I cannot tell you one thing that I wrote in that book. Not one. I remember writing it. I remember writing the word "the end." And then I remember the guy going, Fran, your car's ready. And then he goes, that was weird. And I go, what? He goes, you didn't go to the bathroom. You didn't look like you were breathing. You didn't take a drink of water. You sat there like a zombie typing for 3 hours. I said, I honestly can't tell you one word that I wrote, but I think I wrote a book. He goes, how do you not know? I said, I cannot tell you one word. So now I go back, I write my Adrenaline Adventures book. And now I say, you know, I should read this, look at this book and see what I wrote, you know? And I read it, and it's really intertwined, simple, but it's told in parable. It's about a little boy who keeps getting bullied. It's about a widowed woman who's holding down 3 jobs, about a successful businessman who didn't have a family or anything because he was just building a business, and now he's lonely because he never had love, and an old man who feels he's got all this wisdom, but nobody wants to listen to him because they feel he's outdated. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And on the same night, they all say a prayer, and an angel of light appears to them and tells them each the tiny little movement thing they have to do in their lives that will not only change their lives, but create a ripple effect in the town. And each of them are given, everybody in this town is given a little candle, and the candle actually tells people if the person has good intentions, it shines bright white. If it's got bad intentions, it's dark red. So now people are saying, is there a way to change the candle? Can anybody fool the candle? I don't want a candle. It might burn my hair. How can I play ball with a candle? And everybody's complaining about this gift. So now the angel gets mad. And it goes through this whole metamorphosis of this town. And what I found is the book contains the 44 secrets of happiness in it. And when I started speaking to people about it, they said, do you realize that book was channeled to you? I said, I've heard of that word, did not know what it meant. I don't know. I guess so. And so every time I put any energy towards the book actually hit number 11 on Amazon. And when I went to see the soldiers, because I performed for the military in actually all over the world. I performed in Okinawa. I performed in the DMZ zone all the way down to the South Korea, Long Island for the National Guard. I performed for every branch of the military. We weren't allowed to give them gifts. So I couldn't give them my Hopeful book. But what I told them was I gave them these bookmarks that had quotes from Hopeful on the back and my website. I said, if you go to my website and you are an active military person, I will send you the book as a gift, because I wasn't allowed to give it to them there. So there's a website, francapo.com has a Hopeful, but there's also a Hopeful, the City of Light book. And it says, if you're military, you get it for free.
I love that.
And as you see with my gifts of the mindset, of course I want to sell my books. I have 22 books on, humor, health, happiness. I have books on myths and mysteries of New York, myths and mysteries of New Jersey. I do voiceovers for people. I do corporate stuff. Of course I need to make a living. But at the same time, I want to be able to do things that give people, yes. And I also have a podcast, Fran's World, which is a show about humor, health, happiness. It airs like tonight. Another episode is coming up. And I talk to people who are all successful in their individual fields. The last woman I talked to, 90 years old, wrote her first book.
Oh, I love it.
90 years old, and now she's working on her second book. So it doesn't matter what your dreams. So that's what Fran's World's about, inspiring people that no matter what your dreams. Some guy lived in America. He decided he loved France and opened the first restaurant ever, American restaurant ever in France. And everybody was like, you're not an entrepreneur. You're not a cook. And he's like, this is what I want to do against all odds. And that's the stories I like to show people. Nothing is impossible. everything you can think of, you can create. And this is why the tour of love is going to be amazing and fantastic. I'm taking an RV to get to this tour. And I'll pop in and out. If I can't find this tour of love, I'll make it. I'll just stop at a place. This is the tour of love right here. So
I love it. I love it. In fact, you know, the tour of love is all about the fact that we are coming together with love. We are sharing the love. And something you said, I really want to go back to, and that is during this time of COVID, and for people to understand, because you have the training that you do in hypnosis and such, that the power of our mind and the fact that we see each other through this camera, at some point in time, our mind is not going to remember, were we in the same room, Fran, or is this something that we did over the internet? Our mind's not going to remember that, because there is something in the magic of the love. There is something in the connection and the healing power of all of that is what we are going to be taking out there, guys, on the tour of love. And yes, it is kicking off. And we are going to be kicking off going into the end of the year, into the next year. Some amazing stuff. And yes, it's all about a tour of love and an RV. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, if I'm going in my RV, I might as well be doing the tour of love. And I love the groovy sign. It looks just like the 60s, 70s. I love that. That's actually, no matter, and my husband goes, are you ever going to come out of the 70s? I go, listen, I like that music. I mean, obviously I listen to other music, but it's like, it's the music that I just remember. And I always say, I'm 37 till I'm 97 and sticking to it. And
I love it.
You know, people, you're doing nobody knows my age, and nor do they need to. And so this is the thing. But when people go, they'll say, you know, Fran, when you get to this, they'll name an age, 40, 50, whatever. This has happened all my life. When you get to certain age, you're not going to do that anymore. And in my head, I'm going, they don't know I'm already past that age and I'm still doing it. And I just go, I think I will. And they go, no, guarantee. And I go, I pretty much can guarantee I will. I just became the first woman to zip line inside an active volcano in Nicaragua, the Messiah volcano, the same one that guy Nick Walinda tightrope walked across. I just did that last November. So I'm still doing things. The Tedx talk record that I broke, I did that in December. So I now have 9 world records, and I broke 2 of them last year. So
okay, I got to ask one question, because I just got to know. Going down to the Titanic, did you go down in one of those like things like
oh my gosh, yes,
that just looks like that would be so much fun.
Well, actually, and people could check it out after at francapo.com. If you go to World Records, I have a video so you can actually see it. But the Titanic, this is how the Titanic thing came about, which is really funny. So I do a book. So I get these ideas in my head. So my book comes out, and I said, I should do a book signing. Somebody had asked me to do a book signing at the top of, where can I do a book signing? I said, why not do a book signing at the top of Kilimanjaro? Where else are you going to do a book signing? So now I did this book signing at the top of Kilimanjaro, which this is what a book signing at the top of Kilimanjaro looks like. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So, I'm sitting there. I'm sitting here. And then, all the people are lined up. And that picture circulates around the world. And I get an email out of the blue from Brian Day O'Connor, Sandra Day O'Connor's son, but I didn't realize that's who it was at the beginning. And he said, I think it's amazing that you do the things with your son. P.S. I'm going down to the Titanic. So I'm like, Titanic? I go, is there room for another person? And he's like, what do you mean? I go, I didn't know people go down to the Titanic. I thought that was scientists or just a movie. So he says, yeah. I said, well, hook me up with the people. So now I get hooked up with the people, and they say, listen, there's 3 requirements. I said, what are the requirements? I said, first thing, you can't have high blood pressure. Said, not a problem. Second thing, you can't be claustrophobic. I said, well, what if I am? They said, it's 7 feet inside that submersible. If you're claustrophobic, it's going to be a problem. I said, well, what will you do if somebody lies? They said, oh, we'll shoot you with a dart gun. I'm like, a dart gun? They said, yeah, we can't have people panicking. I said, what's the third thing? They said, you can't have excessive flatulence. I said, they said, you can't fart too much. I said, why? They said, your oxygen. If you fart too much, you could blow up the submersible. I said, that is not how I want to go out in life. Fast talker blows up Titanic with her butt. Not the way I want to go out. So I didn't know how much farting was too much. So I looked it up. And I found out the average person farts 18 times a day.
Really?
So I start counting. When I got to 12 and it was bedtime, I said, unless there's 6 more in my sleep, I'm good. So now I'm going there. Now, if you've seen the movie The Titanic.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody pretty much has seen it.
Yeah.
So you're on that ship, the Keldysh, right? The same ship you're seeing in the movie.
Cool.
And there's 2 submersibles. They're called Mir 1 and Mir 2. And the Russian pilot in the movie The Titanic, in the beginning, when they bring up the safe and they thought the blue diamond necklace was going to be there, next time you watch the movie, there's a guy standing behind the safe with glasses. He goes, "No diamonds?"
Yeah.
That Russian guy is Anatoly Salgovich. He's the one that designed the mirrors that go down. Okay? So he designed the mirrors that go down. It's only 7 feet inside. So now, I'm getting, I got accepted. I've raised money, sponsorship money. I'm going down. And so I said to them, well, how long are we going to be down there? They're like 12 hours. I said, 12 hours. I said, well, what if I have to go to the bathroom? They said, oh, no. 24 hours before you stop eating. 12 hours before you stop drinking. I said, okay, let's say I do that. I still have to go to the bathroom. Because there's no bathroom. It's only 7.5 feet. There's no bathroom. I said, well, what do I do? They go, we give you a packet. I'm like, a packet of what? They go, we give you a little packet. You put it up against your body, wear a shower curtain. You stand on the chair, you pee next to the pilot's head. I said, okay, I am not peeing next to the pilot's head. I said, I'll wear it depends. But then there's 3 people in there. I'm like, okay, they can't figure it out. If it's not them, it's me. So I figured I just wouldn't eat a drink. But you got a picture. There was the Russian pilot, me, and they picked Straws, who I was going to go partners with, and it was this Japanese woman. I have nothing against Japanese people, but she was just an annoying person in general. She was like, me number 1 Japanese to go down. I go, I get it. Now you have the heavy Russian accent, the heavy New York accent, the heavy Japanese accent. It's like the United Nations is going down 2.5 hours, swirling down, right? And then 2.5 hours. I decided not to talk a lot. I didn't want the Russian's head to explode. So we were going down. And then all of a sudden, total darkness after 500 feet, okay? You're not tethered. You're just going down. So if God forbid something happens, you sign a waiver. Yeah, that's it. Okay. And we're going down. And then there's the bow of the Titanic, just like you see in the movie. And you see it and total darkness, except for the headlight of the mirror shining right on it. And every thing you've seen about the movie flashes in your eyes, because the ship at that point had already been down there 91 years. Now it's over 100. It's like 102 years. And, so you're looking at it. We're all like intense. And the Japanese woman is going, pushing the pilot out of the way. I need to take my picture. He's elbowing her going, you took 1,000 pictures of the bow. We need to move on. I'm not happy. And I only 80% happy. I'm like, 80%? How are you 80% happy? And so she goes, I have idea. We're going to back up, take picture whole ship. He goes, no one ever take picture whole ship. Too big. No, we back up. He goes, I have better idea. Next time I put you outside submarine. She goes, okay. I go, you realize he wants to kill you? It was just amazing. I mean, it's like going somewhere that's history. Do you know?
Yeah.
And we would see Captain Smith's cabin, and there was only one fish, and everything down there is albino because they never see the light of day. So every fish down there, the starfish, have all these pictures, by the way, are at francapo.com. If you go to the Titanic World Record, all the pictures of all this are there. But it's amazing because you're like, more people have been to outer space than down to the wreck site of the Titanic. And I'll show you something. So let me get something to do. This will give you a little perspective. Not much, but like if you drink a styrofoam cup of coffee, right? It's like 12 ounces. So let's say it's the equivalent about that size, right? It's a little bit more because this is probably not. When you take a styrofoam cup and you put it in the basket outside the mirror, the 6 tons of pressure on every inch of the submersible, take the styrofoam cup and shrink it down to that size. Okay. So, I mean, and normally this would be a much bigger cup, but it shrinks it down to that little size. And then for my sponsors, I put from the top of the world, meaning the Kilimanjaro, to the depths of the sea. And then the Titanics that were bigger sponsors would get these cups. Some people got 1912 pennies that I brought down there because that's a tradition of sailors. You take the same year of the penny and you bring it down and it gets blessed, whatever. And then I became an ordained minister because I figured if I'm going to be down there, I might as well say a prayer, but I can't say it as Fran Capo. So I became an ordained minister and became the first person to ever say a prayer down by the wreck site.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing this, because I just feel like I've gone on a full tour down and I'm gonna have to that whole flatulent thing, I'm gonna have to get little tick marks and just make sure that that's a whole new way of thinking about it.
Well, when he said that, I was like, oh, can you imagine being the person? Because even people who wore lipstick, if it had Vaseline in it, we weren't allowed to wear shoes because the shoes could spark and then the oxygen would ignite. So we had to take our shoes off. We're given special socks. You couldn't wear any Vaseline based makeup, lipstick. And I remember, because I knew I was taking pictures, going down there, put lipstick on, and then I got all paranoid. I go, how do I know if it has Vaseline? Oh, I better take it off. How do I know the thing I took it off doesn't have Vaseline? Oh, I better wash it with soap and water. Oh, soap doesn't have Vaseline. And I was like, because they told me someone had burnt their lips down there. And I was like, whoa, I do not want to be responsible because I was vain that I put lipstick on, that now I blow up people,
Right. What a great moral of the story is that for every action there is a reaction. And and as we close this, the thing that I just love, number one, is that you are joining the tour of love. And so we are not closing this, we're just saying until the tour, which is not too long away, November the 30th at noon Pacific, through December the 1st at midnight, which is Giving Tuesday. So Cyber Monday, half day, and Giving Tuesday. And we're going to be having so much fun with Fran. That's all I'm going to say. So everybody, remember to get your phone out, put it in your calendar. Make sure that you've got the E360 TV app on your phone and all your devices. As we close right now, Fran, I'd love for you to leave us with a nugget, your favorite inspirational thought, and then we will say until the tour of love after that.
Okay. I will say one of my biggest sayings that I believe is fear nothing, but if you do it anyway. Because you could fear it and not do it, and then for your whole life you keep fearing it, or you could fear it and do it, and then it's past you.
There you go.
Whatever it is, fear nothing, but if you do it anyway.
I love it. And so we will be going on the tour. Guys, be ready. I'm just like busting up. I cannot wait to be telling you all the people that are coming on the tour of love. Be waiting here soon. We have an e-magazine that we're going to be getting out there soon. Lots of press releases. And yes, you're going to see Fran's name all over the place because she is joining us along with others. So the question is, are you going to be joining us? I know you will, because you know what? We're going to be entertaining, inspiring, and motivating you all to make a difference in this world. We are going to change the way cancer is done together. All right. You are amazing. Just absolutely adore you. Thank you for being the service hero that you are. I know we made the case, and so you are now.
Thank you.
Honored. Everybody, make it a great weekend, and see you on Monday.
And get those meditations. Sorry. Get those meditations to help everybody.
We will. Bye-bye.